What is going on, Hive Warriors? It's your boy Edward V. And if you feel that you're doing intermittent fasting, but you're not seeing results and you don't understand why, because maybe your peers are doing well with it, or you look at the intermittent fasting community and you see that they're succeeding with it, and you think that you're doing all the right things, but you might be doing one of these 4 things that's keeping you from seeing your results. And I'm gonna go ahead and break that down in this video. Alright guys, quickly before we start, this video is brought to you by yours truly, Fledge Fitness and the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. If you haven't gotten yours yet, what are you waiting for? With an ergonomic design, aluminum handle, and swivel design, you can't go wrong with the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. You can click on the top right hand corner of this video or down in the description box below. And of course, as always guys, thank you for your support. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Now I'm going to jump into the 4 things that you might be doing that may be causing you to not see results with intermittent fasting. The first thing, and one of the more important things, is that you probably think that intermittent fasting is a do-it-all diet and protocol. You think that you can do intermittent fasting and then sit back, relax, and then let everything fall into place. So if you want to lose weight or body fat, you do intermittent fasting. Because of HGH increase, you use intermittent fasting to build muscle. Because you're not eating much, you're using intermittent fasting to control appetite. You're using intermittent fasting to improve your cardio. You're using intermittent fasting to improve your resistance training because it helps provide energy and focus. The slippery slope and the danger with that mentality is to sit back, relax, press the intermittent fasting button, and then let intermittent fasting do the work for you, without understanding that intermittent fasting has things that it provides efficiency in, and even efficiency over other things, like for example body fat burning versus just counting calories. Intermittent fasting can provide that for you. Definitely, the studies have shown that time and time again. But for example, building muscle, because of HGH increase, although that can help you to some extent in terms of retaining muscles, but it isn't the most optimal thing to do. So if you're using intermittent fasting and your goal is to build muscle, and if you've had problems building muscle, so the tool that you're using is intermittent fasting to get there, it's not going to help you because it's not the most optimal thing that you can do. And this is simply based on protein synthesis. The fact that meal frequency helps with protein synthesis. There are other things that help with protein synthesis, like increasing calorie intake, resistance training, increasing protein intake, but meal frequency is one of them. So if you're doing intermittent fasting and literally using intermittent fasting to build more muscle, please understand that it is not the most optimal thing that you can do. Now, it does provide focus and help with energy and stuff because of the fight or flight response that comes from it, the norepinephrine increase, that hormonal response. But you can't use intermittent fasting as the jack of all trades. Now, if your thing is weight loss or fat loss, then intermittent fasting can definitely help you with that. But if your thing is building muscle and that's the thing that you care about the most, intermittent fasting is not the most optimal way to go. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't a way to go. You can still use intermittent fasting and build muscle. It's just not optimal. And if you're having problems building muscle, using intermittent fasting to do so wouldn't be the best solution based on the studies that we have. The number 2 reason that you are not seeing the results that you want, this one's actually the thing where it's probably in disguise and you may be actually seeing progress, but because of the way intermittent fasting works, this scenario can actually happen more for someone doing intermittent fasting over someone who's just counting calories. And that is that you are relying on weight as your only measurement for success. And the reason I say this is because intermittent fasting targets body fat. That is the way intermittent fasting works, and that is what provides the uniqueness to intermittent fasting versus something like just counting calories. Please understand that you can be losing body fat and still gain weight on the scale, or you can be losing body fat and show no weight loss on the scale, or you could be losing body fat and also see weight loss on the scale. But the scale is too one-dimensional. So just using the scale and saying, well, is the number going up or going down? If it's going up, then this doesn't work. If it's going down, then it works. If it's staying the same, then it doesn't work. It essentially robs you of the nuance of weight loss, and especially the nuance provided to you by intermittent fasting, because it targets body fat specifically. So the best thing to do is actually to measure body composition and not so much looking at the scale. You can use the scale as a reference point, but not as the data point for your success or failure. So what I would ask you to do instead is to take pictures every week, once a week, in the same position. Look in the mirror, front, side to side. Take those pictures and then continue to do that and look at the differences each week. See if you can see slimming down in the face, in the shoulders, in the chest area, slimming down in the abdominal area. Pay attention to those things. Pay attention to your clothing. Clothing that felt tight before, does it still feel tight? Is it getting tighter? If it's feeling loose, that means you're losing body fat, even if the scale does not indicate weight loss. We have to detach 1-for-1 weight loss with 1-for-1 body fat loss. It doesn't work that way. Plus, 1 pound of body fat is a large mass. You're only trying to look for that 1 pound coming off every day. That's a lot of mass to come down. You can be losing below 1 pound of body fat while still losing a lot of mass that just doesn't equate to 1 pound. Go ahead, search up what 1 pound of body fat looks like. That's a lot of mass. Intermittent fasting helps focus your weight loss on body fat, and this can be a detriment to you if all you care about is the scale, because water fluctuation going up and down is going to be there. Glycogen buildup going up and down, that's going to be there. The foods that you're eating, if you become bloated, salt intake, potassium intake, all of these things are going to dictate that number on the scale. So focus on fat loss, not weight loss, and you will probably start to see results because you've moved your focus from something that is one-dimensional and probably not telling you anything about your progress or lack thereof. All right, let's go on to number 3. And number 3 is that your diet is not sufficient. It's inefficient. You have an inefficient diet. One of the best things for plant whole foods is the fiber that it provides. Just so that you understand, it's not just simply on nutrition. Fiber gives you a lot to work with in terms of helping you continue to burn body fat and lose weight. It helps your gut bacteria, the gut flora. It helps you with digestion. So if you're feeling constipated, which many people indicate that they're feeling constipated when they're doing like 1 meal a day because they're eating large amounts of food, you want to eat fiber because it helps break down, it helps solidify a lot of that food and even help push it quickly through your digestive system, helping you combat things like constipation, which can actually help you lose weight on the scale, in which if you're looking for that number to go down, eat more fiber. Not only that, because the absorption of those foods are slower, it helps you feel full faster, which helps you eat less. So you can eat less because of the fiber that you're eating. So essentially it helps with fat loss, it helps with weight loss, it helps with blood sugar control. That gut flora in the gut bacteria doesn't get much nutrients from normal foods that are not fiber, simply because they can get broken down and absorbed way before they reach the digestive tract. The gut bacteria can get some good nutrients from fiber. So you want to add fiber. If you are having problems, you're not seeing results, and there's some issues there, fiber will help combat that issue. And of course, also adding more protein, as it helps burn more calories simply because of its thermic effect. Not to mention, it helps build muscle, which is something that is metabolically active, which helps you burn more calories. So it all works together. And you also do need to understand that I know that there's a big portion of the intermittent fasting community that doesn't count calories at all. Well, here's the thing. If you're not counting calories and it's working for you, keep it going. If you're doing intermittent fasting, you're not counting calories, and intermittent fasting isn't working for you, you gotta count calories. And before you jump through the screen and tell me, well, what's the point of intermittent fasting if I have to count calories when I had to count calories without intermittent fasting? I've explained it a million times. The studies have shown it. The review done by Mark Mattson, Dr. Rafael Del Cabo has explained it over and over, that the calorie partitioning in which you're burning body fat is the effectiveness of intermittent fasting, because it partitions your calorie burn specifically driving body fat out as opposed to other parts of your body like lean tissue, for example. And finally, number 4, lack of consistency. This is the easiest culprit to point out when people are doing intermittent fasting. And you can sit down and talk to different people and see what their system is and what they do. But one of the biggest things that people say is that they were doing intermittent fasting and then they ate out of their window one time and then this other time and this other time, and now it's hard for them to get back in. It's always going to be like that, guys. It's hard for you to do intermittent fasting when you first do it because of the biological habits that you've built over time. But once you do it, you're in a flow and you can just keep going. But once you start going back into a habit that you've built over years, you can pull yourself back into that habit flow. And hey, it's up to you if you don't want to do intermittent fasting, if you want to do something else entirely, but you have to provide an intervention if you want to change your current situation. So if you're overweight and you want to lose weight, there has to be an intervention. So it's either you're going to be counting calories every meal, eating 3 meals a day or 4 meals a day or what have you, or you're going to be counting calories doing intermittent fasting and eating in shorter time frames and eating much more during a single sitting than eating small plates of food during multiple sittings. But one of the biggest culprits for people that say intermittent fasting doesn't work is the lack of consistency, the on and off. And it doesn't mean that you have to do intermittent fasting every day, because you don't. Adherence is the number one thing that matters. So if you can do intermittent fasting for 4 days and that's your comfort zone, that's what you do. You're still doing intermittent fasting for 4 days as opposed to doing intermittent fasting for no days. But if you have a system and you lack consistency, you're breaking that flow and you're disrupting that new habit that you're building. So be consistent. If it's 4 days, stick with those 4 days. If it's 5 days, stick with those 5 days. If it's every day, try to stick to it and have exception days, but don't have consecutive exception days. Don't say you're not going to do it Monday through Thursday when you normally do Monday through Friday. It's just counterintuitive to building this new habit that you're trying to use to better your health. All right, guys, those are the 4 reasons why you might not be seeing results with intermittent fasting. I hope this video has helped you guys. And of course, as always, I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon. I'm going to go ahead and put their names right